I got noise complaints over the weekend. So, and they carried it all the way up to the, I don't know. I'm so tired.
I know.
Anyway, it was one of those things where they went up as high as they could go to report that there were problems. So just to be aware of it.
Okay. I know.
I'm taking it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. But we're going to definitely have to work on that, and we have some ideas, so we'll discuss and figure out what.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All good.
All right, it's 6:34, so I don't know. Let's see who's in. Okay, Asche, Ethel. Okay, good. I don't know if Shelly's showing up. I know Courtney said she wouldn't be here this evening, so I guess we'll wait like a minute and then we'll get started.
I think Shelley's out celebrating the election.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Richard, for that heads up.
I'm not just kidding.
I mean, that party animal.
I know a lot going on though.
I think he may be here.
Hi, Ethel.
Hi.
Oh, do you see?
Hi. I'm in a knocked out phase because I gave a whole Zoom presentation of a whole lecture, and there was 300 or 400 people on, and I just was frightened out of my wits. But okay.
Oh my goodness. Was okay, but that's a good turnout. 300.
And oh man, I just was stunned out of my wits.
Polly and
Guess
Will,
what they
I'm going.
wanted me to talk about zoning and New York.
Yeah. What'd you say, Max?
Sure, I'm going to make you guys co-hosts, so that way I can go back and forth between my other meetings.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good. That's good.
Great. Okay.
I can give you a brief update on the budget priorities and the district needs if you want before you start.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just back.
Should I start?
Polly, did you want me to go ahead and get the meeting started? You're on mute right now.
Sorry,
Don't
William.
need
Yes, please get the meeting started because I think we're streaming now.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Well, everyone, thank you for coming in. Today is Wednesday, June 29th, 2022, and this is a Public Safety Task Force meeting. My name is William Ortiz. I am the co-chair. With my co-chair, also introduce herself if she can.
Polly Spain.
Thank you, Polly. And then
We're the co-chairs of the Public Safety Task Force.
thank you. In attendance, we have Roberta Semmer, Richard Asche, Peter Ardston, Ethel Sheffer, Doug Kleinman, Benjamin Wu, Ashley Lopez, Dana Rodriguez, and the one and only Max. So we have 7 items on our agenda. Well, you know, if you're counting old business and new business and next meeting dates. But first, we're going to quickly review the item of our agenda. We're going to have a report, a panel discussion on safety in our community from the voices of our youths, followed by questions and answers. Then we'll have an update on the recent Supreme Court ruling on concealed weapons in New York and what that looks like and what to expect. The following topic is the ATV and noise complaints. I think some of us heard them on Sunday, just recently. So we'll talk about that in some ways to support the community and try to prevent noise happening, that type of noise happening in our neighborhood, followed by old and new business, and then we'll talk about our next meeting date. With that being said, Polly, would you like to go ahead and get started on the panel discussion on safety in our community from the voices of our youth?
To get on, so if they come on, because the guys that you're trying to help them get on the call, because they kind of wanted to hear what we have to say and what reaction is. So if you don't mind, I think Roberta said she would speak to the budget for a minute so we can buy time to see if they can get on.
Yeah, that works. Roberta, when you're ready.
I'm ready. So this month I'm coming to every committee meeting, but I'm also coming to your task force because one of our district needs include public safety, and I recommend that all of you read the district needs that are up on our website relating to public safety. We also usually ask for more additional funds for the police. And so we would love the input from the Public Safety Task Force on any needs that you have. On the budgeting, we usually ask on the expense budget, not on the capital, for additional funding for police officers. But I mean, it's very important that we have and one of the sections on the district needs is definitely public safety. So we're looking to you guys, but we need it. We're going to be working on it over the summer, so it's not like we have a lot of time. So we're going to be needing input from you over the next few weeks.
Okay, that sounds good. So with the next week or so, would that be sufficient? To submit? Okay.
Perfect. And if you want to call me and talk to me, I can walk.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should do that. We should definitely connect and talk because there are a lot of issues
Right.
in the community. So yes, funding.
And not all of them are expense. So some of them are more district needs as opposed to expense or capital.
Mhm.
And it's important that we get those into the dialogue.
Oh, yeah, totally. Because I know the mayor had allocated funding for public safety issues under his blueprint plan for public safety. So I think we should capture as much of that funding as possible and, get our bid in early, so to speak. So, with that, I was hoping that they were able to get on. So I don't see them yet. So I am going to just give a little background knowledge. One of the things that I learned as we launched this public safety task force, we spoke to many agencies, as you know, the deputy inspector from the 2-4 and the 2-0, the captain, the district attorney's office, and also the business community. We've heard many voices and many concerns and issues. At the last meeting, I know that we spoke to someone from the PEP in regard to some youth who were having issues at specific schools in our area. So one thing that concerned William and I is that we did not hear from the youth, and we felt that it was very important to hear their voice and how gang violence, guns, the conditions in our society right now are impacting them. So what we're going to present today are discussions from the Youth Explorers from PSA 6, and also a young lady who's only 9 years of age. Her grandmother is a president of a public housing complex. And what I did was I put together a few questions, very simple and to the point, to just get some feedback and a lens on how they see their day-to-day interactions when they're going outside in regards to safety. So what you're going to see, William's going to bring up a PowerPoint slide. It's not lengthy or anything like that. And you're going to hear the feedback from the youth for the questions that I presented to them. I see, Doug, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one thing very, very quickly regarding Roberta's DNS, just to save time, in the past, when we've asked for more police, which is, and Roberta is very familiar with this, we want to be very specific to mention that it's within our district. If we ask for more money on the expense budget, what's going to happen is they'll agree to more money for police, but then it gets disseminated throughout the city. So we need to be very specific about asking for it in our district. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you.
When we ask for more money, if we're more specific, so in the past, we've asked for more money and we have across the board. But if we say that the 20th precinct needs 3 officers or needs specific things, then we're more likely to get the money.
And that makes a lot of sense. You know, we want to be detailed and specific in our asks. And it has to relate to our needs. So definitely. I mean, I could tell you one off the top of my head, PSA 6 definitely needs another car because they really only have access to 1 car, and that's not enough. So, you know, I'm glad that Doug pointed that out, that we should be more detailed and streamlined in what we put down as a district needs statement for public safety. So with that, I think, Richard, you have your hand up as well.
Just quickly, have we touched base with the precincts as to what they see as their needs?
Yes, we do. On a frequent basis, when we attend the council meetings, I do know that a few people have given me feedback from the council meetings as to what the needs are from the precincts. And from what I'm understanding, it's equipment such as, again, cars, manpower is low right now, and they're really stretched thin, very thin. So that's an issue. But I just feel that we need to have a discussion and then kind of look at what can we actually get, because we don't want to continue to make requests that are not doable, put it that way. So
Correct.
I just, yeah.
On my own point, we ought to be as specific as possible based on what the precinct captains or commanders tell us are their primary needs, because they know and we don't.
Exactly. I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
Sometimes they tell us and sometimes they don't, but when we do hear them, we specifically.
They don't.
If they do, we put their requests in.
Okay. Good.
Okay, Ethel, I see your hand is up.
Thank you. I just want to echo very strongly what Richard said, and I think that when I was writing to you and William earlier, some other memos, I quickly did say in terms of our request that I know we're doing motherhood and equivalent when we say we need more police, but I strongly urge that let's not waste our time with those kinds of things, but be in consultation with the police, but also, of course, with the youth groups, with others, to be as specific as we can be and consult with them as to the realistic nature of what they need and try to do. I'd rather not say 8 things and say 3 that are really, we agree on, specific. They say, and we talk to them in a practical way and do it that way. I doubt that in every place, you know, every precinct could say we need more officers. That's just not good enough. I would suspect, Polly, as you mentioned, that, you know, the PSA may really need another car and maybe some other kind of deployment from the little bit I've been learning from them. But let's just be, it could be 4 specific items, but they really count.
Right, and if we know that we need a car, we know whether it's at the dollar point, whether it's expense or capital budget. But we're also looking at we're trying to keep to the 20 top priorities for expense, the 20 top priorities for budget. So it may not make the 20. It certainly would get sent to it will certainly get put into the DNS in any event.
Okay, but I think that the groups and the police would respect us as we respect them if we can work together to be as practical and specific as we can be, and do it in the most potentially practical fashion.
We've always pretty much done that.
Maybe not all the time. Okay, thanks.
So what I want to do right now is kind of move on into the meeting. I know, Peter, you have your hand up. After Peter, I just want to kind of move into the youth panel discussion and the feedback. Go ahead, Peter.
Okay, I was gonna skip over it, but basically I just wanted to say in the past, I know that having bicycles has been positive for the 24th precinct in terms of being able to maneuver and to get into spots that were not easily reached. And so it was attractive. I don't know. I know that there's at least 2 officers that have indicated an interest in pursuing that and are hoping to be able to do that over the summer. So just to be aware that there's other things that can also be helpful along those lines. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. So again, we will ask for feedback before we actually submit anything, so that this way everybody has an opportunity to give us some recommendations. All right, so with that, I'm going to ask William to bring up the PowerPoint presentation.
Do you see it up?
Yeah, I can see it. Can everyone see it?
Yep.
I think
Yes.
everyone can see it, William. Okay.
Yes.
All right,
Awesome.
so as I said, I gave some background information. What you're going to hear are, again, some of the youth explorers from the PSA 6 program. I met with them and also with their coordinator who's on the line, Diana Rodriguez, and she's trying to get them on as we're speaking, but they're having a problem accessing the Zoom meeting. And in addition to that, we also have some feedback from a young lady who's only 9 years of age. So you're going to be pretty amazed at what they have to say. So with that, we're going to move forward to the audio. And what I want you to do, William, is basically you're going to play the audio from the 9-year-old first. So we can go back to the second slide for a second so they can see the questions that I asked. Okay. So here you'll see that several youths were interviewed so that we could see through their eyes how they look at the world with all of the violence going on around them. Because as we know, several children have been killed. One coming out of her school in the Bronx, unfortunately stray bullets with children sitting in the car eating ice cream in their homes. And, it's really gotten out of control. Children should not have to be afraid to eat in their home or go to school. So we just felt that it was important now to kind of get a lens of what they are looking at, what they're going through, because basically they're the victims. And we as the adults, if we're really going to do what we can to solve this problem, we need to get their perspective. So these were the 3 questions that were asked. Number 1, do you feel safe when you go outside? Number 2, what can we do to make things safe for you? And number 3, if you were in charge of the world, how would you make it better? So with that, we're going to go into the audio so you can hear what their responses were to the questions. So William, I want you to start with the 9-year-old first. And I just want everyone to listen and really hear what they're saying. Thank you. William?
I think the sound has to be shared.
Oh, okay.
So you might have to reshare your screen and select share sound, and then that's how we'll be able to hear it. You're
Are you
muted.
sharing the screen, William? Are you doing that?
Yeah, sorry. I'm not sure if you were able to hear it at all. Let me try it again.
Yes.
My computer is
Um,
actually on the fritz right now.
You will have to stop sharing your screen. Share your screen again, but before you make it live for everybody, just make sure that the share sound is checked.
Oh, I understand what you're saying, Ashley. Okay.
Share sound. Okay, I see it now. Let me do it now.
It's not gonna be, and the nest is empty.
What?
The nest is empty. The nest is empty. It flew away.
Okay.
I don't know. Somebody that-
Okay.
Yeah.
And your voice nice and
You know.
clear too.
Do you hear it?
Very
The
clear.
boy hatched
Okay.
and the mother.
So the first question
Someone
I'm
is
gonna
talking
ask
in the
you
back.
is, do you feel safe when you go outside?
Only when I go outside in the daytime, not the night.
Okay. And why is that? Why do you feel safer in the daytime than at night?
Because I could see more
So
stuff.
again, this basically is a discussion, and then with youth explorers from PSA 6. What can we do? Coordinator of the PSA 6.
Okay, William, it's overlapping.
As well as two explorers, and what we're gonna do is just basically
More lights
ask them
and
3 questions
police and putting
about public
security guards in
safety
the building.
and what they feel and how, and you feel that'll make you feel safer if you have more lighting. Just Mari.
Yes.
The first question I'm gonna ask you, that makes sense, because do you feel safe when you go outside? See where you're going.
I can't follow this.
Well,
when it's dark,
if y'all don't mind, I write it last night
and then
because
I
I was
know,
like,
that's what I'm saying. William, stop
then
it, stop
I'm
it,
gonna get
because
confused and I don't know
do
what
it
I'm gonna
because
say.
over.
But yeah,
Okay.
if y'all don't mind, I write it down.
And
So I'm
then
just
my
gonna
last
read it to
question
y'all what I
is,
William, the recordings are
Yeah.
overlapping.
if
So I
you
said,
were in
well, I
charge
know
of
that
the
you guys would
whole
like to
wide
hear that I
world,
feel safe,
how would
but I
you make
Stop
usually
it?
don't feel safe outside.
Teach people to
This
be
is because
kind
since a lot is
to one
happening in
another
this
and
generation, people
respect
just
each
want to
other.
use violence for everything.
That's
And
something
I'm
that we
scared of
really
going to the
need,
bodega
you know.
near my house
And
because
can
there's
you just
gun
talk about what
everywhere.
that
And
looks like, you know, being
when you can
kind?
hear is
Like, what does
somebody
that mean
arguing,
to
and then
you
10
to be
seconds later
kind?
you hear shots, and then
Like helping
that's
other
like
people out.
5 seconds later
Wow, I
you
love
hear
that.
like somebody's dead.
You know what?
And
I have
then
a lot of
I don't
faith
feel
in your
safe because
generation.
William,
because
I'm scared of
I
going to the
find
train
that
or
a
any
lot
public
of
transport, and
young
then
people your age
you
really
will
care
you
about
will
helping other
you will
people.
hear is an
William,
individual
Important
pushing another
and
individual
good
into
to
the
hear.
trainway
So
with
One moment, my computer
recording.
not taking this audio playback well.
All right, I don't know. Let me see if I, try to bring it up on my screen because it was overlapping. We couldn't hear one at a time. So let me see what I could do to do that because it was like overlapping and that's not helping.
And when I hit play, it just I couldn't hear anyone or couldn't hear any of the audio either. So
Okay, no, I'm gonna see if I can do it. I'll try.
okay.
Okay, I'm gonna share screen. And then Ashley, you said to make sure I put on
You click, you check the share sound. So
okay,
we're
I got
able
it
to
right
hear
now.
it.
Share sound. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
And then let me see if I can share. All right, can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm gonna click the first one and tell me if you hear it. Come on.
okay.
Okay, you gotta speak up, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, her voice nice and clear too.
Yes.
Very clear. Okay. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, do you feel safe when you go outside?
Only when I go outside in the daytime, not the night.
Okay. And why is that? Why do you feel safer in the daytime than at night?
Because I can see more stuff.
Okay. And then my second question is, what can we do to make you feel safe or make things safe for you?
More lights and police and putting security guards in the building.
Okay. And you feel that'll make you feel safer if you have more lighting?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, you know, that makes sense because when it's dark at night, you want to see where you're going, right? Like if it's light out, when it's dark, it does kind of get scary. And then with the police, you feel that the police will help us, that we should have more police?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then my last question is, if you were in charge of the whole wide world, how would you make it better?
Teach people to be kind to one another and respect each other.
Wow, that's something that we really need, you know. And can you just talk about what that looks like, you know, being kind? Like, what does that mean to you to be kind?
Like helping other people out.
Wow, I love that. See, you know what? I have a lot of faith in your generation because I find that a lot of young people your age really care about helping other people, and that's important and good to hear. So you're thinking that we need to work on helping other people and being kind.
Yes.
Everybody, yeah. So you know what? I agree with you, and you're helping because I want the police, I want teachers, I want other adults to hear what you're saying, not only you, but other youth your age, because I want them to listen and really understand what's important, right? And, you know, that we don't need to be fighting each other and hurting each other. So it makes me feel good to hear that that's how you look at the world. You want to be in a world, if you were in charge, that you said you would want people to be kind. And how would you get people to be kind to each other? Because remember, you rule the world. You're in charge of the world.
Probably like putting it all over the news or something.
Oh, I like that idea. Put it all over the news.
Yeah.
Wow, that's huge. Because we have the internet now. Yeah, we could do that. Put it all over the news. Like, what would we say? Like, what would we say? Be kind to each other. Like, what would we do? What
Like,
words would we say?
support more people and like help them out if they need help.
So you would give a message every day, every morning saying, be kind, help each other. Wow, I love that. That's a great idea, seriously.
Would you have the kids do it in school?
Yeah.
Teachers would tell you, and then the teachers would tell the kids. Because you put the notes out for everybody to be kind.
Wow.
And giving speeches.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I like that idea. And what do you want to do when you get older? Do you want to be maybe like the president of the United States? What do you want to do?
I kind of want to be a vet, but I'm really not sure.
A vet working with animals?
Yes.
Wow. What made you choose that?
Because I'm watching TV and I see animals that really need help, and I want to help them.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful, Bernadette. You got a doctor on your hands.
Yeah, I've been calling her Dr. Williams, and she gives me the COVID testing, so we practice.
Oh, yes, you do have a doctor on your hands, a nice, beautiful young lady. And I love that she already has an idea of what she wants to do. So I'm not going to ask you any more questions. I wanted to keep it real simple, okay?
Okay.
I really appreciate you taking the time. So I'm going to stop the recording.
Okay, so basically, as you can hear, and I hope you can hear me, she's a 9-year-old, and I just was kind of amazed that, you know, the way she looks at the world, and her responses, the way they came through. So she's afraid, going outside at night, and she wants more lighting where she lives at, and she wants more police. And also she feels that, it would make her feel better. So just imagine a 9-year-old. I didn't want to give a lot of lengthy questions because she's 9, and her grandmother was sitting there with her. Her grandmother is the TA president. So basically, she has that leadership quality in her, but I just kind of was surprised that at that age, she's really thinking like, oh my goodness, I don't feel safe. And she knows and understands what that is. So the next audio that we're going to listen to are 2 young ladies who have been with the PSA 6 since they were 13 years of age. They're now, I guess one would be 15 because she said she started 3 years ago. So they're either 15 and 16, I believe. So you're going to hear from them and their perspective. So they're a little older. And what I want to do is kind of get a range and really focus on the youth between the ages of 9, 10, up to 15, because that's the age group that deals with a lot of bullying and victimization. And so I just felt it was important to get their voice. So we're going to start the next audio.
Okay. All right. So again, this basically is a discussion with youth explorers from PSA 6. We have our coordinator of the PSA 6 youth explorers on the call, as well as 2 explorers. And what we're going to do is just basically ask them 3 questions about public safety and what they feel and how we can address this situation. So I'm going to start with you, Jasmari. The first question I'm going to ask you is, do you feel safe when you go outside?
Well, if y'all don't mind, I write it last night because I was like, then I'm going to get confused and I don't know what I'm going to say. But yeah, if y'all don't mind, I write it down. So I'm just going to read it to y'all, yeah. So I said, well, I know that you guys would like to hear that I feel safe, but I usually don't feel safe outside. This is because since a lot is happening in this generation, people just want to use violence for everything. And I'm scared of going to the bodega near my house because there's gun everywhere. And when you can hear is somebody arguing and then 10 seconds later you hear shots, and then that's 5 seconds later you hear like somebody's dead. And then I don't feel safe because I'm scared of going to the train or any public transport, and then you will hear is an individual pushing another individual into the train way without a reason, just because they want to. And I don't feel safe because I'm scared of wearing like a gold necklace and then I'm getting beat up or punched by another person just to grab my necklace. And I don't feel safe or I'm scared of going outside and be sexually harassed because of my body or the way I dress. So yeah, I don't feel safe going outside because of those things.
And I thank you for your honesty, Josmati. And the follow-up question that I want to ask you is, what can we do, to make things better for you?
So, well, I said that in the first place, I feel like you guys try so hard to make the community better, and not everyone can see that. So I want to thank you guys for what you guys do for us. And I hope that everyone can see what y'all do for us the way I see it in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I would like to give 2 examples to for y'all. Maybe y'all can follow to make the community safer.
Yes, we want that.
I feel like a way that y'all can make safer for us is worrying about people's mental health, whatever. Yeah. I feel like when people have mental hair, well, it's like having a brain that it don't work. Mm-hmm. So I feel like these people most likely to do something crazy or wrong. And I feel like you guys can make things safer by trying to help these people out before they do something that their brain don't want to, but their hair, their brains wants to, but their hair doesn't. So I feel like mental health is important for the community. And I would like to also say, like, kids, like, their environment, like, whether like they were like erased in a positive or negative environment. I feel like the environment that they get like erased in, like, so like, you know what I say, that kids, they get built by the society, like what they see they want to follow and stuff. So I feel like caring about the kids, like making them do activities outside and making like them see like love is like, you know, important, so they don't get erased by like a violent space, so they don't get like too much in their head and then want to use violence too. That's what I feel. So like I feel like we should protect the kids and worry about them. So yeah.
Wow, thank you. That's so powerful what you're saying. And I'm just going to ask you one last question and really think about this. If you were in charge of the world, how would you make it better?
Well, if I was in charge of the world, I would start by like getting like other people into task, because not everyone is mean in this world. So I would start getting up and bringing those people like that have a positive minded, and then like, because I'm not gonna do it by myself, like I have to get help too. So I might get like some other people and to help me to make the community better, like to worry about other people just like me, but I need help for that. So yeah, and I would try to like help the community, like to become better, to stop the gun violence in general, and all of that. So yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. I really love what you're saying, because that's important for everybody to do their part and get involved in the community. So I want to thank you. I'm going to ask you now, Violet, the same question. So stay on just Marty for a minute if you can, okay?
Yeah, I will.
Violet, the first question I'm going to ask you is, do you feel safe when you go outside?
So first off, I want to say that I completely agree with what everything just Mary said, because I feel like a lot of us relate in certain kind of way, especially females, when she brought up the part that a lot of times she doesn't feel safe because of the way she appears to certain people. So I personally don't feel safe. And I feel like that's something like kind of embarrassing for me to say, because it's you're supposed to feel safe where you live or where you grew up. That's not, you're not supposed to, like, even because I'm a teenager. So it's like, wow, like a kid, it's really saying that they don't feel safe. Like that's probably something an adult would say, but me saying this is like an adult would think that, oh, like, damn, like kids are really starting to feel the pressure that's happening in the city or whatever it's going on. So I personally don't feel safe because of the things that go on, because of the way people handle things. I just don't feel safe. And majority of the time, me saying I don't feel safe, I also like relate to my most closest people, because it's not that it bothers me, but me having to pray every single day to get back to my mother, it's sad, because you never know when you're gonna come home in a in a place like New York City, and I'm just being honest. Like, and being a cop as well, like you never know if you're gonna get back to your kids, and that's something sad that a lot of people don't notice. Like, cops get ashamed for literally everything, but in reality, they don't know what cops gotta go there to handle. They don't know if cops get back to their kids. Like, it's unfortunate. So yeah.
Well, I thank you for sharing that because, you know, definitely you're inspiring me. And, you know, we have a duty and responsibility as the so-called grown-ups in their community to make sure you guys are safe. And you shouldn't have that burden on your heart as a young person. You should be able to explore possibilities and do things that you want to do and just focus on growing up, you know, and making friends. So, you know, just hearing you, to be honest with you, for me, is heartbreaking, but also you're inspiring me, you know, as you're talking and, you know, to say, well, this is something that we're all going to have to fix because this is not right for you guys to, you know, be in an environment in the world where you have to worry about getting home, you know, safely, worrying about your family, your friends, you know, you guys deserve the right to live in an environment where you can grow and just be a person. So I'm going to ask you question number 2. And what can we do, all right, to make things better and safer for you? So
I feel like it would be good to interact more with teenagers. Not that the NYPD doesn't, because for a reason they have the program called the NYPD Explorers, which I find that really good because that's a thing that not every state or every country has. So that's a really good opportunity. But I feel like what you guys should do more is like going out there and try to like interact with kids a way where they would like be more how do you say this, like want to join the program. Because if you notice, like there's certain kids that don't like cops or they don't like going to prisons, they're traumatized or whatever it may be. And I just feel like, for example, if I was a cop, like I would sit there and I would like try to go over the kids' mental health. Like, is there something that you went through to the past where you don't like to deal with cops now? And I would try to say, like, I would try to change its point of view on how to view cops, for example. Like, I would ask him what's wrong with him, for example, and I would just like go deep into it, and I would tell him like a way cops could change him, and how his point of view could change from minutes to seconds, you know, because that's the thing that really happens. Like, I have friends which are explorers now and other precincts and other bureaus, which they had different feelings about cops, but now their perspective changes, and now they're sergeants, corporals, and I'm really proud of that because that shows that you know the cops are doing a great job at, you know, recruiting kids. Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful what you're saying, you know, because again, you know, this is about you guys giving us ideas on what we can do to change the environment. And, you know, we need your help and your voice. So I'm glad you're sharing that with us. And I'm going to ask you the same question as Jasmati. If you were in charge of the world, how would you make it better?
So if I was in charge of the world, I feel like being in charge, like, for example, if you were in charge of the world, that's like being a president of a country. And I feel like, let's put it as if I was like a president or something. I feel like I would personally take and consider a lot everybody's point of view. Like, it doesn't have to do with racism. Like, it wouldn't have to do with racism, the gender, because I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of Black Americans or African Americans don't get to have jobs or didn't get to have jobs because of their skin color. A lot of female cops get tested because of because they're females and because people think that just because they're females, they can do what other male cops do.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I will change people's point of view, and also I will consider people's opinions because especially with all of this thing about women's rights kind of getting away, I feel like I would give people the chance to do what they please with their body as long as they're safe. As long as it's their safety, I feel like I would consider that a lot and not just be a hypocrite and not consider their opinions, because at the end of the day, I may express something of the way I feel, but I don't know if that may hurt or that affects somebody in a way of how I feel, because I cannot be a hypocrite and just consider my opinion. You have to be open-minded and consider the other people's feelings. But at the end of the day, you don't know what that person went through to be where they're at right now. And you don't even know if that person is going through something at that moment. And you just continue to hurt them more.
Well, you know what? You sound like a very compassionate young lady, very caring. And so I'm going to ask you, what would you like to do in life as far as like a career, you know, when you grow up or finish school? Like, what's your goal?
To be honest, I want to be a FBI detective.
Okay.
And that's because of the reason where, like, so ever since I joined the NYPD Explorers, which is almost like 3 years now, it has inspired me a lot in a certain way because I really want to make a change. Like, for example, I'm an immigrant, you know, I'm not from here originally. And since there's not a lot of change back in my home country where cops treat people like horrible, to be honest, I want to make that change. Like, I want to come from somewhere where I'm somewhere else in the future. I would say, or I want to make a change here, since where I came from there's not a change. So I could later then in the future show that change back in my home country to my people. To maybe help them and inspire them by that change I made with the kids and the community as well. Because there's a lot of teenagers, you know, like dying, and it's sad. And in general, it's sad for everybody, because if you think about it, the world is slowly coming back to how it was at one point in life.
Wow,
So,
that's powerful. You want to be a role model so that this way you can start a change. So I know that that's going to happen, because just hearing your voice and the way you articulate, and, you know, you're passionate about making positive changes in the world, and, you know, you're making the right steps and the right decisions now in your young life to do that. So I have every confidence that you will achieve that goal. Jim Smarty, I'm going to ask you the same question. Basically, what is your goal as far as a career, or, you know, what is your desire for your life? What do you see yourself doing?
Well, I have so many in my head right now, because I have law, I have criminal justice, but I was thinking about being a DEA undercover agent, because I don't know, I just want to grab like mean people, just like, you know, just put them down and then make the community better. Yeah.
You're in the right place. You have a great coordinator here, you know, who's there to support you and your goals. And you have me also. You know, I'm a graduate of John Jay College of Criminal Justice, which is the best college in the world when it comes to anything to do with law enforcement. So, yeah, you're in the right place. And as I said, both of you, you know, I'm so impressed by what you said, and your words are so powerful, and you're gonna make a difference by what you said today, because I know when my colleagues hear your voice and, you know, your honesty, is going to change the way they think and the way they're viewing our world that we live in when we make these decisions. And I want this to continue. One of the ideas that I have is to do a podcast with the youth. So it'll be called Voices from the Youth. So I would like this to continue. Is that something that you guys would be interested in participating in?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because you guys, again, can give us feedback and kind of guide us, through your eyes on what we need to do to put changes in place. And the adults need to hear your voices. And I would like to have other youth, your friends get involved as well, because you guys are part of the community. So I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your morning. I know you guys are enjoying summer vacation. I heard you went to a wonderful trip yesterday.
Yeah.
Coordinator, and you had a great time. And I said to her, I'm going to work with you guys also, because there's a whole world out there for you to explore. And that's what you should be experiencing, all the positive things going on in the world, because unfortunately, we hear all these ugly things on the news, but there's so many young people your age that are doing some powerful, huge things. And you guys need to be part of that reality, okay? Because you have it in you. And I look forward to it, because I know you guys are going to really change our world in a positive way. We need you guys. We really do. I just want to say thank you.
If you don't mind, can I say something?
Of course, definitely.
I also feel like it's not that the NYPD doesn't care, because maybe if that's the way I sounded, but I never meant that you guys don't care. I actually meant that you guys do care a lot, because that's why I said that a lot of people don't recognize the effort and the danger you guys have to put yourself in, like, just to protect kids. Like, so I feel like the NYPD and the Explorers, like, we're all a community in one, because we all belong to the NYPD. So us together, we make a better difference. Like, people may say kids make the difference, but all together as a community, we actually make the difference. And as long as that keeps, growing in a good way, then I feel like everything could change, like you said, since now you guys are involving the kids in these type of convos. I feel like that's a really good thing, because you guys get to see how kids' point of view is going on how things are going. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because like I said, we need you guys. We need to see the world through your eyes, because how can I make a decision about your life, right, when I haven't spoken to you to understand your reality? So that's why this is something that I felt is very important. I really appreciate your coordinator, making it possible, because it's going to help me when I work and do what I do, to make the right choices. And that's why I want to do a podcast, because I want to keep this conversation going. I don't want it just to be a one-off and that's it. Okay. So I'm glad that you guys said you would be involved, and I'll definitely be working with your coordinator, to make this happen. Okay. Because it's important work that we're all doing together. And as I said, I don't want it to end. This is just the beginning.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, good.
And thank you to your coordinator for making it happen. I love it. Yes. Again.
Thank you.
Summer, like, how does that work?
So we
that
meet.
makes me feel good, and I'm glad that I was able to be a part of this.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, like 3:30 to 6:30, sometimes even 7. We end up going over the time because we lose track of time a lot of times. But sometimes it'll change because we might have a trip or something. And, then I'll change the day, or I try to coordinate it where if sometimes they have things.
Okay, so that's it. So basically, we're asking the question, how did this make you feel hearing what the youth have to say about safety? So I'm going to stop sharing the screen so that this way we can discuss what we just heard. All right, so Peter, I see you have your hand up.
Sure. I was hoping to ask them about what would what motivated them to join the Explorers, and what could help other kids come into that program. So that was my question.
Right, so we have the coordinator online, Diana Rodriguez. Maybe she can help answer that question. Diana, can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. A lot of times the kids, they coordinate and they stick together. So they do their own recruiting. They see how it is, how the program is, how we go on trips, how we go and how we sit together. And I sit with them and we talk about life. We just talk about life in general. And I deal with the parents. I coordinate with the parents all the time, keep in contact with the parents. And they want cry for help. They want to make sure the kids are not going out there and doing things or getting involved at the wrong location, wrong people. So that being said, the program speaks for itself in the sense that I get one kid, they're all honor roll. And in my program, I definitely care about education. So if they have to skip the program for whatever reasons because they have to take exams, whatever reason it may be, I tell them, I have the program, they can't make the program, that's fine. Regions, whatever it may be. Education to me is most important. That's what I care about.
All right, so
But
we
they
have
come
Mary on the line. I don't know if she wants to talk. She was one of the youth explorers that
yes.
So I don't know, just Mari, if you want to respond to the question was, what made you join the Explorers program?
Hi, wait. Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, just Mari. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, no problem. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
The question was, what made you join the Youth Explorers program with the NYPD?
Yeah, well, I heard about it and I was like, oh, it's interesting working with cops because before I used to be like scared. Like when I see cops, I'll be like, oh, they have a gun. I'm scared of them. Like it was just like I get scared because of cops and like in general, like, oh my God. But then I started going to the precinct and I started like seeing what cops actually do. Like they like want like the better for the community. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I started seeing that and then I was like, oh, I want to start working with them too. But I don't know. I wouldn't like to become a cop. I would like to become more than just a cop. Mm-hmm. So I was just, yeah, I thought about it. So I actually do like I love the program because I have other kids and then it's like, I love working with other people. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
How long have you been with the Youth Explorers?
2 years, 2.
Okay.
3, yeah.
Thank you so much for your input and your feedback. And as I said to you earlier, when we spoke, this is something that we want to continue doing, having these discussions and getting ideas from you guys on how we can help make things better. And everybody that you see on here now is part of the community board. And we were just talking about, certain things that we may need for the community at large. And so in that respect, I heard you talk about, this morning, things that you enjoy doing, and, things cost money. So, we have to get funding. So what type of activities would you like to do and see that you feel would not only help yourself, but others who are not part of the program, to kind of reach out to them, to have them change the direction of their life? What should we be offering you guys, like your age group?
Well, to be honest, I don't know. I might have to think about it.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fair. That's fair. Thank you.
Thank you. You're
All
welcome.
right. Thank you, Jasmine. You're amazing. You're amazing.
No problem. Take care.
Okay. Does
Bye.
anyone, any of the board members or the task force members have any comments to share? Okay. So with that, go ahead.
As far as me as a PSSA coordinator, I just want to say, I want my kids to experience what they never got to experience in New York, as far as, because they come from everywhere. So some of my kids never even seen the Statue of Liberty. So with that being said, let's take our kids out of their environment and show them what New York City is. Let them see, experience things that maybe we cannot afford to show, their parents cannot show them. I want them to go out there and see what's out there. So please, I'm just saying, I experienced that. I grew up here in New York City, and I was fortunate to at least see certain things, maybe not everything, but for these kids, they're growing up here, and they're coming from other places to see better. So let's show them better.
Yes.
Why not? We gotta show them better. It's not fair. I have a kid who never seen the Statue of Liberty. What are we doing?
Totally agree with you. And thank you so much for the work that you do. And we appreciate you coming to the meeting this evening. And again, working with the youth, because that's important, for us to address public safety. We cannot wait until they're 25 years old. And
yes.
I like what Jocelyn Mari and the other explorers said about mental health. They both kept speaking about mental health. What causes someone to go down a path of self-destruction. And, so I'm glad that they brought that up, and then also the guns. So these are issues that we've discussed, but to hear it from them that they're quite aware that, yes, there is a mental health issue. And we need to get to them now when they're that age, so that we don't wait 10 years from now when someone is, out of control.
I agree.
And on medication. So that's why the work that you do is important. You're saving lives and you're changing the direction of their lives. So we really appreciate everything that you're doing with them, and we will continue to work together. So thank you so much. You're welcome to stay on. Right now, we're going to go into the next item on our agenda. And, we're talking also about the situation with ATVs and motorcycles, which a lot of youth are, right now prone to using. So you might want to listen and, to our discussion.
Yes.
Your choice, okay? But thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, William, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I think that's the next item, right, on our agenda.
The item we have before that is the Supreme Court rulings on concealed weapon, but I can chime in on the ATV noise complaint stuff, just because I'm just going to echo some feedback from Shelley. So essentially, we spoke on Sunday, and what Shelley wanted to share with everyone here is that we talked about calling 311 for the ATV noise complaints, but actually it was more effective to call 911. He saw about 50 or so ATVs going down the West Side Highway. Then he called 911. And around the time that phone call was ending, like another set of 50 or so came by. Soon after that, we see them do a complete U-turn and just start fleeing the other direction. So I guess the cops were on it and were on there fast. And that prevented, I guess, them from coming over to Amsterdam or Broadway as opposed to staying on the West Side Highway. So I just want to echo that important point that if you do see that large crowd of ATV and they're ignoring traffic, making things unsafe for the community, the best bet is to call 911 because it is a bit of a traffic violation and disrupting the flow of traffic. So we also learned that there was a news article that someone shared, I forget who, that there's ATV also up north near the Bronx. So we definitely know for sure they're coming up. We don't know exactly how far south they go yet. We don't know if they hit Hell's Kitchens, Times Square, Midtown. They probably just stop near our neighborhood and then start heading up north. So we do know they go as far as the Bronx, and still looking to reach out to other community boards, even other police precincts, to get the exact traffic flow, the exact movement that they do. That's still in the works. But those were just the 2 points I wanted to echo. I see Benjamin first, followed by Ashley, followed by Doug.
So this is a issue that I hear very often. I'm on Broadway, and just the other day I actually was looking out my window and I saw that there was actually a biker that would stop in front of another one, openly taunted that other car that was waiting for its own green light. So I think that in some ways they're getting more aggressive. But one question I had that I don't know if you were aware of, but or knew the answer to, but Eric Adams recently had the tweet where they ran over the dirt bikes. Are they doing the same thing with ATVs, or is there any sort of difference in what they're doing? I'm sorry for the noise.
I was gonna say it's okay. The noise is totally fine. There's no noise complaints in the house. Don't know the exact details as far as what they plan on doing with the ATVs. I haven't read any articles, nor have received any updates specifically from any of the captains. Polly, do you have an answer on that too, by any chance?
No, not at this moment. Basically, things are still the same. But one of the things that I do feel that we need to do is there is a location on 89th Street. I think Paige had mentioned it. So there's a group that kind of parks over there, so to speak. So I would like to see us reach out to them and figure out, what is going on with the riving of the engine, I guess you call, because yes, they're young and, there seems to be this trend, because I even spoke to someone that lives out in Long Island and they said they have an issue out there too. So I don't know if it's a club, if it's just, certain locations, but it seems to be spreading out to Long Island as well, where there's a route. So I don't know if it's a place that they go and they can just spin or whatever it is that they do. But I think the main thing is the noise, right? So I feel that if we can reach out to them and talk to them about that, then we can address the other issues, with the Papa Wheelies in the street, et cetera. But I think the main disturbance is the noise. So I don't know what they do to the engine, to tweak it. I don't know how that works. But, for those of you who are, aware of motorcycles, ATVs, how that works, I think that we should really try to talk to some of them and figure out what we can do to, come to some agreement, to not do that, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
Make them understand how it disturbs the peace. Okay. So that's my 2 cents worth.
I just want to say, yeah, I think one key topic here is that, what's the deterrent? And I think that, it's valuable property, and taking it, confiscating it, maybe destroying it, but confiscating it, taking it away, I think is one way to kind of deter folks. And if it's consistent, everyone knows about it, and that's how it's kind of addressed as a deterrent, I think it's something that can be pretty effective.
Thank you, Ben. Ashley, please.
Yeah, just really quickly, just to piggyback, the most important question is if it's in use, like you've seen ATV and it's happening, that's always going to be a 911 call. If you call 311 and you express like it's in happening present, they will bring in 911 and connect it. But if it's like past, like reporting it, like something that happened yesterday, then of course, yes, there'll be a 311 report that you can whoever can make it.
Thank you for that. That's a good point. Doug, and then Richard, and then Ethel.
Okay, so for those of you who have seen me rant about ATVs and motorcycles for the last 2 years, it's been one of my pet peeves. I've had very specific conversations with the commanding officers of all 3 precincts, as well as the executive officers, traffic officers. By the way, while I'm on it, I actually had a conversation with, I believe her name is Estelle Stryker Santiago, who is with the district attorney's office. She is willing to come to our meeting to talk about a lot of issues that we're speaking about and will speak about this evening. By the way, I also just want to say while I'm on it, I've been attending the 24th Precinct Community Council meetings as well as the 20th Precinct Community Council meetings. I was not able to attend the Central Park Precinct ones, but I try to attend some of the Build-A-Block meetings when possible, and I encourage all board members, whether they're on the task force or not, and all community members to attend these meetings regularly. A lot of the things that we're talking about on this task force are directly asked and answered. It's an opportunity regularly, and sometimes you don't always get the answers you want, but you are face-to-face with commanding officers, district attorney office. The district attorney's office has been showing up lately at the community council. But regarding ATVs, I believe personally that this is a political issue. It is a prosecution issue. The fact is that in my personal belief, after studying this for many, many months, the NYPD, one of the largest police departments in the world, absolutely has the ability to stop this if they wish. There are many reasons for it. Some of them are very good for safety, of course, but I agree calling 311 and 911 regularly is because of our open data that we have in the city. We can't unerase those calls, and the more calls they are, the more we will be squeaky wheels at the NYPD. I've spoken to some police officers who've suggested that, that they are using drones and helicopters. They do get into the social media and the meetup groups of these riders. They know where they are, they watch them, they have the ability to stop them on a bridge, but it's very, very political and it's very risky for them. I've had off the record conversations with some commanding officers and various other high-level police officers who've said, we know how to do it, but we have to have the support of the district attorney's office and of course the mayor's office. So I'll leave it at there. I'm sorry. It's a pet peeve of mine, and respectfully, Polly, noise is a huge issue, but what's much greater is the absolute safety. These people have killed people. They will kill people if they don't stop. And it's a deadly problem that I really hope will stop sometime in the near future. And I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you for that information. It was actually really informative in understanding what's happening, and that at least calling 911 and 311, it's a good starting point, at least to have the calls logged and measured. Richard, please. You're on mute at the moment.
I agree with Doug that we should, at our public meetings, community board meetings, tell people that if they witness these or hear these caravans, they should call 911, or if they call the next day 311. And I agree that the more complaints that are registered, the more likely it is that the powers that be will enforce the rules. I want to say that with respect to noise, there must be regulations that govern noise. I mean, I know for example, cars are required to have mufflers. The noise that emanates from these vehicles almost always is because either they have no mufflers or the mufflers enhance the sound. I mean, it's, you know, it's a Steve McQueen kind of cool that is particularly attractive to kids, and it was attractive to me when I had a motorcycle. But its place is not in the city. So I think we ought to maybe look at what the rules are with respect to sound, and remind cops that, you know, even if these kids are law abiding in every other respect, they've got to be ticketed for sound. And if they get enough tickets, maybe that'll have an impact.
May I just interject? I'm so sorry. I yield to William and Polly. May I just say something?
Sure.
I just want to say that the majority of the bikes that we're talking about ATVs, and these are motocross bikes, that almost all of them, without exception, are not registered vehicles. They are not street legal. They are double stroke engines, which are not meant for riding on a street or a highway. They are very loud. Some of them don't have turn signals. They certainly don't have license plates. They're not insured. Many of them have no, there's no even proof of ownership, which is why the police can just take them, because they can't even prove that it's theirs. So these are bikes. So, I mean, they are, you know, from what I've observed personally and what it's been written about and spoken about, you know, yeah, there's no, there's no ability to lower the sound of their engines. Those bikes aren't supposed to be riding on the streets. So, you know, they're just breaking a whole bunch of laws, and there's even environmental laws. These are not, there's no emissions testing. I mean, they're not supposed to be on the streets, and for so many reasons. Thanks.
Thank you, Doug. Ethel, you can go next.
Yes, thank you. I want to follow up on Doug's points and on the noise point. But everything you said, Doug, is relevant in the sense of why these vehicles or whatever they are nuisances and worse. But it does seem to me that, especially when someone spoke earlier of witnessing numbers, and I'm not talking about 2 or 5. I'm not even talking about 8 or 10, because I have witnessed them at different times on Broadway, and there's always been peaks, 20, 30, 50. And I have also seen them on the Henry Hudson Parkway, then turning around and going back up, and so on, and then changing the avenues. My point here is that everything each of you has said to, 911, Ashley's point, and others, we've got to pursue it. But the issue is the noise and the numbers and the safety and the illegality are all part of the same thing. We don't complain about one motorcycle, one vehicle going by, and we are destroyed when it's 50 of them who take up the West Side Highway, come around, and then use the streets. So my question, at least, I'm not telling you what you don't know, but the issue is noise comes with the numbers, and noise and numbers come with the hazards. And the hazards of all of them together is they stop the legitimate traffic, they coordinate, they go north, and then they go south. So what I am asking now, it's not going to be a surprise, but it takes particular lobbying now to, in every one of the major of the districts, whether it's the community board or the roots of the precincts following this, we've got to have a meeting that there has to be a coordinated plan to stop the action of the 50 going up. And that, I don't understand the political point that, I believe you, I think it was Doug, who said that they may have a helicopter go over it. And sometimes I've seen it, but I want to know what can they do on weekends where it's happening more to coordinate that all the police in each one stop them and that there's a coordinated effort to regulate. Now, tell me, what was your point? What's the politics of them not even making the effort two weekends, 3, and everybody to do it in a coordinated way? What's the issue and how can we lobby specifically on numbers, noise, danger, safety that come together in one phenomenon? And if anybody has any idea, but I'd like to go with all of us and go to the police and make a lobbying effort to make this happen. And with and not just Ward 7. Because
Will, Polly, may I respond?
Not just Ward 7.
Yeah, you responded and I'm going to respond. Go ahead, Doug.
Sure. So again, spent a lot of time on this issue and continuing to. Look, the NYPD has said consistently that they will not pursue the vehicles because it would create a greater danger. I'm going to believe them on that. I understand the logic there. So we also understand that within the Community Board 7 district, which comprises of obviously the PSAs as well as the 2420 and Central Park precincts, most of these ATV and motorcycle riders are not necessarily originating or terminating on the Upper West Side. They are coming from somewhere else, possibly, likely. And therefore, we may not see the efforts of our precincts in the actual apprehension of these because they're in transit, right? They're coming back and forth through our neighborhood. So, and because the high command has issued, a directive that they are not to stop them while they're in movement. Now, some of these bikes are picked up if they break down, if they run out of fuel, if they are in an accident. They have arrested them in our neighborhood, but very few. So what the message that the NYPD has been giving us in various forms is that the concentration is happening with intelligence, with the detectives. Also for us to report anytime we see a bike that is parked somewhere. If it's in a garage, if it's in somewhere, they will come in and they will seize them. But most of them, I think, are not really parked on the Upper West Side. So that's part of the reason why we're not seeing a lot of action. But this is, from what I understand, a citywide problem, and it's happening out in Long Island. It's happening in New Jersey. So it's not just Manhattan. On the political issue, obviously certain laws are enforced. According to the mayor's office, the police commissioner, in coordination with the district attorney's office. They've decided for some reason that they are not going to, they bring down, they'll show a great press event and they're destroying 200 or 300 of them. And I appreciate that. But yeah, I think more pressure has to be put on it. We obviously have a lot of other things that we're going to talk about tonight, like gun violence, which I would say takes precedent over ATVs, but I think we can, walk and chew gum.
Thank you.
So what I wanted to add to the dialogue is that what Richard mentioned earlier about the noise and the fact that, that's something that they can be ticketed for, so they should be stopped because that's a noise complaint. As you said, if you're driving a car and you honk the horn. So yeah. So my opinion, I do feel that we need to have some kind of forum with the commanders and, put together a plan, because I believe in going to the source. You understand what I'm saying? My whole thing is why is there this trend to ride long distance, etc. And yes, we already said that most of it is coming from out of town. We understand that. But I just feel that we need to be proactive, okay, and get to the source of why. So that's why what you mentioned, Ethel, about the noise first, right? And then, the numbers, okay? So yes, I think the intel needs to focus on that. And then if we do ask them to issue tickets for the noise And, you know, then, or the numbers, and you stop maybe 5 of them, talk to them, let's find out, you know, what's going on? Why is there a trend where you want to ride through the city, through the 5 boroughs, through Long Island? You know, what is this trend all about? Okay, because this is not acceptable to go through a community and rev up the machines. And then if, Doug, you're saying that those vehicles are illegal, all right? So that there must be a shop somewhere where they're being retrofitted, okay? How are they getting these illegal vehicles? And I've seen on television, you know, the mayor and everyone, they take them out when they capture them and they're, you know, destroying them, but it's still happening. That hasn't been effective in stopping the problem, okay? So I'm about sitting down having conversations with individuals, okay, because they're young people, you know, there's some reasoning behind this. I think we need to talk to them, okay, those who are, you know, brought in, and figure out how we can come up with some kind of solution, okay, to let them know that this is not acceptable, these are the consequences, etc. Because I'm confiscating these ATVs or whatever they're called and smashing them up, so they're just going out buying a new one. So that's not stopping the problem. That's my 2 cents. So I think we need to work a different way. I like said, you know, let's deal with the noise. I like what Richard said. You know, we can say to the commanders, no, you need to issue tickets, okay, so that they have to pay a fine of the noise complaint. And then the numbers, right? There shouldn't be 40 and 50 individuals as a caravan going up and down local streets. Right. Those are violations, and those have to be enforced. And we can get the district attorney involved as well.
Yes. But regarding the noise, the issue is that they're not stopping at all. If they do stop and they have the opportunity, they're going to be arrested and their bikes are taken. The noise, as serious as a problem as it is, you know, one of many things. They won't stop for the police, and the police will not pursue them. So if they do stop and they're there, they're going to take the bike and they're going to possibly arrest the individual. You know, they want to give them a ticket for noise violations too, but the bikes themselves are not contraband. Those bikes are legal to be used in private property and motocross, you know, dirt, you know, roads in upstate New York. But the fact is that many of the time they don't have a title, which is why the police can take them, because they can't prove ownership. So, you know, and by the way, I was upstate New York last week and I saw a sign, which I thought was fascinating. The sign said, "We'll pay cash for ATVs and motorcycles, no questions asked." I saw this about 50 miles north of here, and I bet you that that's a source of some of these bikes.
So it sounds like we need to also get the highway patrol involved as well, because if they're coming from upstate or somewhere else, they need to also be held accountable. It should not just be the local command as well. So what are they doing? That's what we need to look at as well.
Yes.
9A is a state highway, and
Right.
I'd like to get the state police involved.
Exactly.
Henry Hudson is a state highway.
Yes.
Right. So we should get them involved and have a conversation with them, so that this way, you know, they need to also monitor the highway because that's their domain, so to speak. And then that should help reduce some of the problem. And we need to have a cooperative, a collective effort on behalf of the state police and the local police. So let's work on that. I think Peter has his hand up.
Yes, I wanted to bring up a couple of other pieces. One is that they are not all young.
Right.
I've had them come through the open streets. Over the past 10 years, they've come through our weekend walks program, and they are not all young. They do appear to be almost like a motorcycle gang.
Okay.
And I assume that they're, you know, showing off their ability to do different things. It is really disconcerting, and it has had some consequences when people have tried to get out of the way. I mean, apparently, if you stand still, you're less likely to get hit. But it is a major issue.
The other thing, though, that I'll mention is that it's not confined to them. It's also the large truckers who use their air brakes. And those air brakes are very destructive. They can rattle. I live in a 120-year-old building. It's a 5-story walk up, and they can rattle the building when they use the air brakes. And they've been doing this for over a decade. And just to be aware of it, that is also an aspect that could be addressed. And they're not gangs. That's individuals. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Peter. It just sounds like from what everyone's saying that we basically need to have a town hall on this issue, to be quite honest with you, and get the state elected officials and also the state highway patrol involved, all the stakeholders, and see what we can do to come up with a plan to alleviate this situation. Richard, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just a suggestion that Polly, that you and William have a talk with Steve and ask him to raise it at the next borough board meeting and start from there. Because if once we get the borough president involved, then the other elected officials will get on the bandwagon. The other thing I wanted to say, in some, is that this is in part a social issue. These people have nothing else to do. And they have these vehicles, which if they weren't living in the city would be perfectly legal, good, clean fun. And not my kind of fun, but fun. So it may be that we need to explore alternative ways that these guys can get their kicks, either by creating a track, which exists in many communities, or by allowing certain hours, maybe after hours in the park, where they can do what they want, provided that they have appropriate noise abatement. But some, you can't just tell people for whom this is a major activity that they have to stop and there's nothing else they can do. It's not going to work.
Well, I'm glad you said that, Richard, because I was thinking the same thing about a track somewhere far away that they can go to. But again, I do feel we need to have a town hall, to be honest with you. We need more information, and we need more stakeholders involved, before we even get to that point. But I appreciate your input, and William and I are going to bring it to the attention of Steve, as you said, and see what we can do, to come up with a plan, an action plan. But I agree with you. You can't just tell someone to stop immediately. But I am concerned that Peter's saying it's an older group as well, and trucks are involved also. So, if we're going to really handle this, I think we need to cover every aspect, of various vehicles and, the population, whoever's doing it. And they should be identified. I'm quite sure the police by now have some kind of database that we can look at and put our heads together and figure out, the source, where we have some days, we know what happens on the weekend, we know what happens in the evening, we seem to go down Broadway. So, I'm quite sure we can have access to that information, and then from there, kind of come up with some kind of plan of action. So thank you for your feedback. Okay, at this point, I don't see anyone's hand up. I think we should move on to the next item agenda, which I believe is the concealed weapon. Supreme Court just passed a law, basically, here in New York City. And that seems to be the hot topic of the week, last week, other than the primary elections, on everyone's stand on how they feel. Some people are against it. They feel that the Supreme Court made a mistake, because we have enough proliferation of guns as it is in New York City. And what does that mean? Does that mean that anyone can just walk around with a handgun? I'm not an attorney. Maybe Richard can speak to that, because, I think that you have more
And I don't have any inside information, but I've heard.
What that means?
I've heard Hochul speak about it. And right now, the legislature, what the Supreme Court said, in essence, was you can't have a rule that gives a local police department discretion to deny a permit where there is no specific particularized need. That's too narrow a rule. They indicated or hinted that there could be limits on the right to carry, such as public transportation, schools, churches, and they didn't say anything about licensing. So as I understand what Hochul is going to be recommending, number one, very stringent licensing rules requiring education and about handling a gun. Number two, that no one can carry a gun on public transportation or in or near a school, or, and this is very important, if it passes constitutional muster, no one can enter a private business with a gun without the express consent of the private business owner. And when you think about it, if you can't carry a gun on the subway, and you can't carry a gun to your local bodega, and you can't carry a gun to school, and I'm sure there are going to be other places that are off limit, it makes it very difficult for people to carry guns. And in some ways, the requirement, the expansion of licensing requirements is a good thing. None of this affects what I think is the major problem. First of all, every cop who's ever killed anyone has had a license to carry a gun. Second, in the city, inner cities, most murders are committed by unlicensed guns. So they're not deterred by New York's law. It's unfortunate that the Supreme Court did what they did, because it adds, it's atmospheric. It is giving people a license to carry, and it will probably increase the number of almost accidental fatalities, because if you have a gun, if you don't have a gun, you're not going to shoot anybody. If you have a gun, you're probably not going to shoot anybody, but you might. And your kid might find the gun, and it may not be locked up properly. So it's an unfortunate ruling, not unexpected, and maybe not even wrong, given prior case law. But I think that the legislature is prepared to essentially eviscerate it with a series of restrictions that make the right to carry under a license of marginal value. But that's all I know. We may know more in a few days, because I think Hochul has called the legislature back into session this week. Doug, you're nodding. You probably know more than I do about it.
Well, I don't know if I know more than you do. I'm not an attorney, and I found what you just said was very helpful. At the 24th Precinct Community Council, or was it the 20th, or both, soon after the Supreme Court decided, commanding officers addressed it to some of the public and basically said their message was that this is obviously pertaining, that they are going to continue to prosecute and arrest individuals who are carrying guns illegally, right? And that, look, I felt safer, maybe it's an illusion, that we had some of the most strict gun laws in the country. And to get we're not talking about, you can get a handgun permit for target practice and for hunting and for protecting your residence. This is what they're talking about is, a concealed weapon permit to carry around in public. We're talking about licensed. And so, yes, the concern is, are there going to be more Bernie Getz? of the world? Are there going to be accidents? Are there going to be people that get into a road rage incident and discharge a firearm? Domestic violence, suicide, that the proliferation of more guns, even if they're legal, in the, and particularly carrying them around in public in a concealed way, I do believe is unfortunate. And yeah, I heard Governor Hochul say that as far as, she was concerned, they're going to try to blanket the entire city as a special sensitive area, the Supreme, which may beg further court cases to get up to the Supreme Court.
I don't see that as passing muster with this court.
No, I think, right, exactly. I think she was saying it more tongue in cheek, but as far as she's concerned, that every area is a sensitive area. I mean, I heard some discussion among Supreme Court justices before the decision. It was a recording, and they were debating whether or not Times Square would be a sensitive area on New Year's Eve only. Right. And anyone who knows anything about Times Square, how about Times Square always?
Probably the safest time is New Year's Eve.
Right. So it's, but the NYPD was I guess doing their best to reassure our neighborhood that not much is changed in terms of their role. But it remains to be seen. Yes, I hope that the regulations to get a concealed weapon permit in the city are going to be very stringent, and it's going to require a lot of education. Regarding police, I heard you talk about, police that have shot people, but the reality is that police are trained over and over and over again and retrained. They're trained to, be able to assess a threat. The average person who is not trained and retrained. And, I'm not saying police certainly are less than perfect, but I actually trust sort of statistically the overall, staffing of the police department than the general public.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Polly, you're on mute at the moment.
Conversation that I've heard, which is disturbing, is that, there are some comments that people feel, well, now, things will be neutralized if everyone carries a gun. If the bad guy, wants to do something, then you can just open up your, jacket or sweater and blouse or bag and say, well, I have one too, and that'll kind of neutralize them, and they'll be less apt to do something to harm someone else, so I'm just concerned that people will misinterpret the law right now, the ruling, and think that, oh, I can just walk around, those who already have guns illegally, and feel like, oh, now I can just walk around, I don't have to worry, because now the ruling is that I have permission now to walk around with the gun that I already have in my possession, when you use the word concealed weapon. So for them, it's like, I don't have to conceal it anymore, So that's another, I think there needs to be more information on what that actually means, because I'm saying these are average people, and I'm hearing them say, oh, this is great, now I can walk around with my illegal gun and I don't have to conceal it. Okay. And these are adults saying this. Go ahead, Peter.
This is just incredibly dangerous for the police. Yes, they are trained to use their guns, but of course they're human. And if there's a situation where somebody does something with a gun and one other person pulls out a gun, that person is very likely going to get killed, because the police don't know who's involved in it. And that's just a really terrible situation to put anybody that's in uniform in. And this is, whatever can be done needs to be done to minimize the number of guns. I mean, we have seen a proliferation of guns in the past 2 to 3 years here. And it's had really devastating impacts on families in this area. So I would, whatever can be done on the community level, on the city level, on the state level, and on the federal level is important. So, okay.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
But by the way, I don't think the Supreme Court ruling will apply to semi-automatic or automatic weapons. I haven't read it carefully, but I think that the states will still have the ability to ban those weapons. To the extent that people have illegal guns now and might be induced to register the guns, in a way, that's a positive step. But Peter and Doug are right that the possibility for wrongful, even accidental killings is significantly raised when you raise the level of gun ownership in the city. It may or may not be true that people that bad guys would be deterred from pulling guns because they're afraid that their neighbor has a gun and will shoot them. But the incident where that would be true pale by comparison to the incidents where some kid gets a hold of a gun or someone decides to commit suicide or kill his partner or shoot at a cop. And so it's an unfortunate ruling, but I think the state is doing what it needs to do to minimize the effect. And we'll just have to see what they come up with.
Yeah. So with that, what we're going to do now is move on to old business.
Does anyone have anything from old business they would like to bring up? Kind of felt like we talked about everything today.
Yeah, we did.
I think we kind of informally went into old business with.
Yeah, I think I have to leave and I'm trying to find a way to do it.
Okay, well, that sounds good. We're just about to wrap up the meeting.
Wrapping up.
Yep.
Okay, terrific.
What
Thank
about
you.
new business?
Anything from new business for anyone?
Ethel, before you go, I got a little bit of new business. I'll just say it, ramble. So it was announced that Deputy Commissioner John Miller is resigning.
Yes, I saw that.
I know him personally, and I am very fond of him, and I always felt a little bit safer with him around. I don't know what he's going to be doing in his private life or public life, but I think it's going to be a loss. I hope he'll still be around to do his best to keep the city safe. Also, this morning there was another subway slashing on 59th Street in Columbus Circle, and then last week there was a bank robbery at Chase Bank at 95th Street. So a couple of updates. That's my new business.
Wasn't there also slashing around 83rd Street?
There very well may have been. I don't know, but we can certainly get updates at the next.
Not a serious injury, but somebody got stabbed in the subway.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very, very concerning. But I guess I just want to reiterate. I really hope that, especially our task force members, but everybody, that we should all, anyone who's within the sound of my voice in our neighborhood, we should regularly attend the 24th, the 20th, and Central Park Precinct meetings, the community council meetings, the Build-A-Block meetings. They are helpful, and I'm not saying that everybody should be at every one, but they are opportunities to listen, learn, and speak up. So just wanted to say that. I was very disappointed I never see anyone from CB7 there, or very few. So come join me, or come, come instead of me. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. This is very helpful.
Yeah, I'll do my best to join. My time is definitely freed up a lot since the past 6 months personally. So I'll connect with you, Doug, on when we can go. Maybe we could coordinate outfits. I don't know. We'll make it fun. Okay. So with that, I would like to. I think we can adjourn. Close off.
Are we meeting over the summer at all?
No, Polly?
Well, if something serious comes up, then we will reach out to you, Richard. At this time, no, we will not be meeting during the month of July and August, but we will be talking to Roberta about the district needs statement. So definitely I'll reach out to you and everyone, to give us some input, okay?
Okay,
Because that's important,
and I'll try to follow on this gun legislation and maybe send around a little memo.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And then also, we talked about the ATV situation. So I think that, I just want to kind of get a feel for how we can approach it. And if there's a need for a meeting, then I'll definitely make sure I reach out to all of you. The other thing is I definitely want to work on doing a podcast for the youth. So I want to work with the YEL and all the other committees to see what we can do. We should have a public safety task force podcast, and where each individual can basically tackle issues and co-host a segment. Because with public safety, there's constant things going on, like Doug just mentioned. It's like every week something is happening, right? So I think it behooves us to let the public at large be aware of what's going on. And I think as a task force, we should take that role to put the word out there, since we are an advisory board anyways as CB7. So I'm thinking in terms of, I think a podcast would be a good platform. And we could have a link and, put that information on there so that the public can have access to that information and these situations as they're ongoing, because they need to be aware of what's going on in the community. I don't think we should have to wait every 30 days for a meeting, when things are happening.
May I suggest maybe we're a small group tonight, but many people here are very knowledgeable, and it may be worthwhile if you and William help that. For example, I'm not saying this is the way it has to be, but with some of Doug's knowledge about the motorbike, those issues.
Yeah.
And some ideas that I have that are not abstract. And some things that I think others, 3 or 4 of us might try to get together and say, okay, what can we do now in July to kind of get more information, pursue this, and move some stuff along?
Yeah.
Similarly, some other points that you were making earlier, Polly, and use some of the time as we have it for subgroup that can move quickly on a few items who have some knowledge and have already, as I've listened, broken down some of the key issues, that are at the top of some of what we've talked about, like even with the noise and the fleets of motorcycles. And then to me, it's not just Board 7. We got to be dealing with going further up north, within the city limits, but maybe coordinating some of this. So maybe some of us talking in one meeting, 3 or 4,
yeah,
how to pursue it to make it worthwhile. And that's what would be a good thing, if I may just suggest, which I would do to the limits of my ability. I have some ideas of where I could be more useful than not, but I would be very glad to work with 2 or 3 who know a lot as well.
Okay.
And let's move it.
All right. I like that idea. I do that.
I think I gotta go.
Okay. Thank you, Ethel.
Yeah, let me just reiterate that I think the first step really is to get Steve to bring this to the borough board. I don't know if they're meeting in July and August, but if they are, it as Ethel says, it's a multi-board issue.
Very much so.
And it will be solved politically, not by the police acting on their own.
Exactly so. Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right. So at this point, we're going to end the meeting and thank everyone. For those of you who are going away, have a great summer vacation. For those of you who are staying home, have a great summer as well. And I want to thank Diana Rodriguez and the rest of the explorers for staying on the call with us. And we will be working together in the future. Okay.
And a thanks to Ashley for also staying on the call with us as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, thank you.
Ashley. Yes, totally.
Thank you so much.
A pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thanks a lot. Have a good summer.
All right, you too. Take care.
Same to you
Good,
all.
everybody.
Thank you.
And stay safe, as our name is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Exactly.